TeZa, thank you so much for being here today. We're so grateful that we get to interview you. I would love if you could introduce yourself.
Well, thanks for having me, Courtney, and hello to everybody who's listening. And as an introduction, wow, where to begin? People who know me say, "Have you lived a million years?" I've done a lot, but I am an author, an artist, and a spirit activist. I don't say spiritual anymore because that means like, oh, I'm so spiritual, but I'm not. Everybody is. I just kind of am a conduit of the energy that we call spirit. And all my life, I have dedicated myself to that in various ways, sometimes businesses, just like an agricultural business to help coordinate cooperatives in third world islands when I lived in the Caribbean for many years. And today my theme of my work is to spread love and to just negate all the fear and negatives going on in this world.
Love that. I would love if you could tell us what your books are about.
Right. So my story has part one, part two, like many of us do in life. My early years were pretty much of a wild, rampaging she pirate. And that's why I went to the Caribbean and I had a blast. But my books start with when I left that life behind and I embraced sobriety because to me, I was really into addictions. And that's something that a lot of people can relate to, whether or not it's drugs, alcohol, or shopping, or just having things, or being addicted to drama. I think a lot of people are addicted to anger these days. So my books are all about the journey from coming from the dark to the light and leaving behind all those fearful things that haunt us, whether it's from childhood experiences, not good parenting or being rebellious, or sometimes it's just within our soul. And our challenge is to work it out. So I have four nonfiction books. One of them is an art book because I love to write and create visuals together. And my latest book, which we're talking about mostly today, is a novel, which is a real exploration of all the things I always wanted to share with people, but nonfiction does not allow me to, because when you deal with energy, the unseen energy, whether people call it Reiki or mindfulness or just tuning into the mystery, like the indigenous people say, that's hard to talk about in terms of nonfiction. So the bridge tender that we're talking about today is a magical realism eco novel.
Amazing. What inspired you to write your book?
Well, I wanted to give the big message that I've been trying to get to through all these other efforts of mine. Everything is step by step that we do in life. Everything we do adds up. Whatever it is, whether it's a relationship or a job or a career path that we're changing. And when we decide to make a change in our life, we're taking another path. We're taking another step toward who we really are meant to be. So I was determined to write this story about how I have been privy to this magical world of the unseen dimension since a child. I'm sure many of us, if we can think back to our childhood, yeah, we had so-called invisible friends, or some of us had, the monster under the bed, all that stuff, that is part of our imagination. But for some of us, we felt comfortable in that world, maybe because the so-called real world is so difficult and confusing. And a lot of children have fun with their imagination. So, as an adult, I learned how to nurture that imagination I have through being an artist. And then also as a writer, allowing myself to tap into the energy that is within me rather than just logically thinking things out. And so the bridge tender is the story of the human condition, the struggles we all go through. So there's part one where it's really kind of like a messy, confusing mess that we all know about. Just turn the TV on or turn our screens on. We know what's happening out there. And then part two happens. where the character, whose name is Thea Bowman, is given the opportunity to change. And she goes for it big time because she's come to the end of her rope with the bad choices that she's made. And so I was just inspired to write something, and it's all about my belief at my age that I've been a practicing meditator and a yoga person and an environmentalist all my adult life. And now I truly believe that anyone who wants to know about inner peace, which is part of spirituality, like the character Thea, they awaken to the fact that 21st century spirituality is to take care of the environment, to take care of the planet, to take care of the wild, to protect and to be a steward of this earth after we get to take care of ourselves. So that's my inspiration.
Amazing. When you were writing your book, who were you thinking of when it comes to who your book is for?
I believe that anybody who cares about life and the existence of where are we going with life, not just the human species, but like the butterflies and the insects and all of life, anybody will be interested in reading this book because the theme is how we are all interconnected. And yes, there are some bad things happening, but it's not going to be the end. That's not the end story. That's just another stepping stone. I mean, people who are stuck in the negatives, who feel that we're at the end or whatever. I don't buy that. That's their privilege to have that thought process. But I do believe that if we hold negative thinking, it's inviting not only unhappiness in our life, but people get sick. I've seen a lot of people who just are persistent in their negative thinking and they succumb to bad diseases when you get to be like past like 40, 50. So it's not a good idea to think that negative is the only way. And being positive is not really as popular as one would think. There's a lot of naysayers and there's a lot of trolls out there in the world who think that people who believe in the sacred of life are, I don't know, fakes, phonies, whatever. I've been called a lot of names, but that doesn't bother me. It rolls off of my back. I prefer to think that this life that we're living, as the character Thea Bowman in The Bridge Tender, of course, everybody fashions the characters in novels after themselves. Come on, that's what our authors do. But we have the choice to realize that this life is a magical mystery tour. And those who prefer to see it as just something you have to go through, like a drudge, and what's the reward at the end? Well, if they're good people, if they go to do the things, maybe they'll get to heaven. I don't know. But I believe heaven is right here. And I've been to hell already. I don't know if you have, Courtney, but a lot of people I know have been to hell already. And we create the heaven or the hell that we believe that we have. And even if we're in dire circumstances, even if we're in prison, even if we're in the middle of a war zone, we do not have to say that this is bad. I mean, it can be just the experience that we are given, the next stepping stone. And I've been to in a lot of dire circumstances. So I write from experience, not just imagination.
How long have you been writing and what made you really sit down and start?
Well, this book was started many, many decades ago. I've been working on it. It deals with historical events that happened to all of us at 9/11. And when 9/11 occurred, it hit home to me very much more than the average person because I had a personal relationship with the World Trade Towers. I spent some time in New York City and I had a lot of intimate reasons to be there in the World Trade Towers. So when that occurrence, that catastrophe happened, it really struck home to me. So I had an experience that came to me, not in a dream, but in my relationship with life. What does this really mean? What does the attack that happened, not just at the towers, but that day was horrendous. Everybody in America and the world felt this was the beginning of a different era. You right? Were you even alive, Courtney?
I was.
Oh, okay, good. A lot of people I've talked to weren't even alive, or a young man I spoke to the other day, he said that's the year he was born. The world was a different place. We changed. We humans had to change because terror became part of our everyday experience, not just living through life. And so there's a different aspect because the people who cannot realize that we can have a choice to not go into the fear when there is a reality such as terrorism and radical fundamentalists, we have the choice to not live in fear all the time when a lot of people don't believe that. And so this book, I was inspired to bring the message home to other people that I felt that particular day. And so the story starts before and it goes to after, but the main event, the coup de grace, the real climax in the story is what really happened to the main character and what her relationship was with what was happening. And she was there. She happened to just be there.
What is your schedule like when you are writing a book?
I'm obsessed. I mean, even I do yoga every day. I'm a lifelong yoga person. And even if I'm in the middle of doing something that is about my body temple, and I'm quiet in my mind, all of a sudden, boom, an idea will bubble up. And I always have a note and a notepad and pencil in my little yoga studio. And something will bubble up that's crucial, that's pivotal, that doesn't occur in the normal state of thinking. So I'm a big believer, because I am a meditator, that thinking can sometimes get us in hot water. We can't really think ourselves out of everything. Ask anybody who's in therapy. They sometimes people are slaves to therapy. They go to therapy for 10 years, 15 years, and they're still screwed up. So you sometimes have to turn off the thinking valve and go into the feeling valve. And so the when I'm in the work mode, I just allow myself to be this open conduit, and I just do whatever I can to make it so that I'm not distracted. So therefore, I'm not incredibly social at that time. I'm not like, throwing parties and not going out with girlfriends. And my husband and I have a pretty quiet life and a beautiful kind of garden that we tend a lot. So I spend a lot of time in nature just to get inspiration. And I have a committed work schedule, which is not just X amount of hours. It just means that, wow, this is the energy here. The energy has to be nurtured, just like a newborn baby. You can't tell the baby, oh no, you can't have any milk right now. I'm busy. You have to nurture, 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 burp it, baby it, blah, 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 let it sleep. And it's because you're bringing an entity into existence when you're creating a book. And you have to give it that much love and that much attention. And also just to listen to what are the characters really trying to say? Because I don't want to put words in their mouth. I want them to tell me what they want to say to the world. And that's a really fun thing to do because you get to be different characters. And of course, it's based upon the knowledge or the research that I've done throughout my life. And, they always say, write what you know mostly about. And that's what I do. I stick in territories that I know. Everything that I write about, I am an expert. I am an expert about spirituality, about working with the physical so it stays in balance with the mental and the spiritual. I'm an expert in international traveling and really being humble and learning from other people, and especially the simple people in life. And, whatever else I'm an expert about, I'm also an expert about art, just wonderful interconnectedness of how you can see the evolution of humankind's consciousness by looking at art. I started my art career as a botanical illustrator, working for ethnobotanists, who are the people, they're called the plant medicine people today. I mean, I studied the plant medicines that people are involved in right now, the ayahuasca, the psilocybin, the peyote. And, hundreds of years ago, people were studying those things. We just keep evolving and evolving and becoming more and more in tune with nature, because nature is the biggest teacher of all.
What do you need in your writing space to help you stay focused?
Hmm. Well, some people have barren spaces, some people have cluttered. I've got a bit of both. I I look out onto nature. I have to see nature. I have created this beautiful garden. I'm a bamboo grower, timber bamboos. I have 80-foot bamboos. It looks like Costa Rica outside my window. And so I look right outside there, my desk face out there. If I was in a room that had no access to nature, I would feel very claustrophobic. So that's my thing. I have to have nature. And, I've experimented. I even had a writing room once that was like a closet, and it was horrible. So that doesn't work for me. I'm definitely a nature freak, and everything else doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's a clutter or if it's all tidy. What really matters is, where is my mind? And so I don't allow my mind to get cluttered. Like, if somebody wanted to discuss some horrible thing that is bothering them, I would make space for them if they're important in my life, but I would not turn on the news, and I would not go into discussions with people about politics or any of that stuff. I never talk politics anyway. I think it's nasty stuff. So I guard the preciousness of this state of mind that has taken me most of my life to nurture, which is called serenity. I don't allow myself to get hysterical about something or really sad about something. I just see life as it is happening, and I'm recording it. That's my job.
What type of books do you personally enjoy reading?
I'm an omnivore with books. I write and read all sorts of stuff. I do not look at mechanical magazines. I don't look at dentist stuff. I look at world and people and planets and consciousness and expansion, and not just happy, but adventurous.
Are there any of those books or authors that inspired you to become a writer?
Oh, certainly. Okay, so my favorite authors are Maya Angelou, because everything she writes is so much of the heart. And she's the one who gave me the courage to be as brave as I am, because my books are ruthlessly honest and they're fiercely written. They're not meant to be entertainments or just pastimes, not things you would take to the beach. They're meant to be ways that we can elevate our thinking and our knowledge and our experience of being human, and doing it in one form, which is literature. And I always do audiobooks, so I dramatize my books. But my own personal taste is pretty across the board. I'm not a history buff, so I don't read history.
What books did you grow up reading? Did you have an all-time favorite?
Not really. I just read.
On the other side of that, now as an adult, do you have any favorite series or authors that if they come out with something, you automatically grab it?
No, I'm not into that. Mm-mm.
What would you tell someone just starting out with reading again?
Just starting out with reading again, like, whoa, what's your problem? Do you know how to breathe? I don't understand people who don't read, but they're obviously addicted to their screens. So I would say, hey, addiction is a spiral downward. Just look at the fact that you need to expand yourself a little bit and get away from the screens. So all the people I know who don't read are screen junkies. I would say, hey, you know, go to recovery rooms and learn how to get away from your addictions. I
On the other side of that, what would you say to someone just starting to write their own book?
would say go for it and have fun. It's just everybody's different. They just have to approach the project with knowledge that whatever comes from them, hopefully, it's going to be different than any other person because so many people that I know of, I'm involved with a lot of writers groups and inner makings about, okay, how do we get the keywords, how do we get the Amazon categories, and a lot of these people who are into series are focused on commercializing whatever it is they're doing, whether it's adventure, romance, mystery, and it looks pretty much like cookie cutter stuff to me, but there's an audience for it. So whatever anybody does, just have fun with it and make it your own, and don't just copy somebody else, because there's a lot of people who are just doing whatever it is they think they need to do to make money. But I think that the way to really fulfill yourself as a writer is to not think about that and just to tap into the creativity. Now, if you're really thinking about just making money, then you're talking to the wrong person.
Where's the best place for readers to find your book? I know some readers love signed copies. Is that an option and the best place to connect with you?
I have a beautiful website, TeZa Lord, TeZaLord, and I'm also on Amazon. I'm on X, I'm on Instagram, I'm on everything that you can find, Medium and YouTube. I have videos, and that's how you can find me. Just type in that little name, TeZa Lord, and you'll find those 5 beautiful books.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here today. We're so grateful that we got to interview you. We'll be sure to drop those links in the show notes. And again, thank you so much.